There are approximately 4 million wounded veterans in the U.S. today. These men and women have served and fought for our country for years, and yet most struggle in one way or another every single day. Our country is failing these veterans immensely, and we should all step up and support our veterans and work towards viable solutions to ease their struggles and suffering. My husband, Neil Kessler, is a wounded veteran. He served in the U.S. Army for over 12 years. He has gone through multiple deployments to Iraq. Each time I watched him become less and less of the man I married. I cannot change what he has been through, and I cannot fix his physical and mental injuries. What I can do is fight for him. I can be his advocate and fight a system that is set up to work against our wounded veterans. There will never come a day where I stop fighting for him and his survival. Today I will discuss some of the issues that wounded veterans face when returning from war and discharging from the military. From acclimating to civilian life, finding decent medical care, finding employment, struggling financially, and fighting drug and alcohol dependency, wounded veterans face a whole new battle when returning home. Some of you may have an idea of some of the issues veterans face, but the truth is that the issues are much more serious than we can imagine. One challenge wounded veterans face is acclimating to civilian life. According to Rich Moran in 2011, a survey done by Pew Research Center found that 56% of veterans surveyed reported having a difficult time transitioning to civilian life. Being in the military is extremely different than the civilian world. There is a sense of understanding your comrades and their struggles, and there is a sense of family. These support systems are often lost when leaving the military, and it becomes almost as if you are adjusting to a whole new world and culture. For many veterans, the transition is an adjustment that could take years if they ever truly adjust back to their previous normal. Another challenge is finding adequate medical treatment for their physical and mental injuries. They come home to find adequate doctors and hospitals in short supply. The Veterans Administration healthcare system is notoriously failing veterans every single day. Some veterans wait weeks or even months for appointments, while some give up and do not receive the treatment they need at all. As Dave Phillips of the New York Times reported in his article on November 16, 2016, on the campaign trail, Donald Trump savaged the Department of Veterans Affairs, calling it a disaster and the most corrupt agency in the United States. He vowed to fire many workers at the department in an effort to fix a healthcare system fraught with delays. Finding treatment from civilian doctors can be just as hard depending on health insurance and if the doctor can even address the veteran's issues. In addition to transition in healthcare, wounded veterans also have difficulty finding employment, leading to a loss of purpose and drive. Many wounded veterans turn to drugs or alcohol as an outlet. A third challenge that wounded veterans face is a lack of skills that are relevant in the civilian world. They return home with an array of military knowledge, but no idea how that knowledge and their skills translate into the civilian world. Some military jobs are especially difficult to explain on a resume. Also, we need to consider the physical and mental limitations these wounded veterans face in a work environment. These physical and mental limitations that these veterans face essentially set them up for failure. This failure leads to financial struggles, increased mental illness, and feelings of hopelessness. This combination can lead to drug and alcohol dependency to fill the voids and to numb the pain. According to Grant Marshall from his study published in Addictive Behaviors in 2017, there is a growing body of evidence that links PTSD with heavy drinking and related alcohol use disorder in younger veterans of the conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. These addictions only perpetuate the issues that a veteran was initially dealing with and propel them on a very dangerous downward spiral. We cannot let these struggles continue for our wounded veterans. But how can we fix this situation, and what can we do? One solution that can be focused on is developing more effective programs within the Veterans Affairs Administration. These veterans need better health care. They need additional financial assistance, and veterans need to be made aware of educational opportunities, vocational training programs, and support groups that are available to them. As Amy Fairweather said in her article from a Human Rights Journal in 2008, far too many veterans have little idea of the benefits to which they are entitled. The VA is also barred from advertising, which would be the most obvious way to inform veterans of available resources. Another solution is to get civilian companies and medical facilities involved. We can encourage civilian companies and healthcare providers to offer aid to wounded veterans. Giving our wounded veterans the chance at a new career is beneficial to not only the veteran, but to our economy. So where do we start? The first step of action is to educate ourselves and wounded veterans. We need to acknowledge these men and women and the struggles they face every single day. Wounded veterans that are being transitioned out of the military need to be better educated as to what resources and programs are available to them. And believe it or not, we can participate in that. If veterans are well versed in the civilian and government resources available, then they are armed with ways to prepare for their new lives. Next, we need to petition and fight for the implementation and survival of government programs that aid wounded veterans. We also need to rally civilian companies to provide resources to wounded veterans. These ideas have already proven effective with initiatives such as Warriors to Work, Vet Success on Campus, America's Heroes at Work, and more. With an overhaul of the Veterans Affairs healthcare system and new employment and education opportunities, then a wounded veteran's chance of success in their new life would greatly improve. Imagine for a moment that you are a wounded veteran. You've been away from your family and friends numerous times for a year or more each time. You've witnessed things that are straight out of nightmares. You've then returned home and everyone around you expects you to be the same person you were, but you have no idea how to do that. You have physical and mental injuries. Then you are told you are no longer fit for duty and you will be discharged. You will be sent back to a world where you have no idea how to function in anymore. As you put yourself in that position, think of the help you would need or want if that was you. Now, be that help for others. We must be the foundation of action to save our wounded veterans. If we do not act now, millions of veterans will continue to suffer. They will struggle to have a normal life. They will not have access to the benefits available to them, or worst case scenario, they will die without the help they need. If change does not start with us, then who will it start with? Where will our veterans turn to? It must start now. In our time together, we have discussed the difficulties that many wounded veterans face, from acclimating to civilian life, receiving adequate medical care, securing employment, and fighting off potential addictions. These men and women go through significant challenges. We can work together to change that, though. We have discussed solutions and how they can improve so many lives. All we need to do is act and fight for the change that is needed. First, we start at the government level. We can contact Senator Johnny Isakson and Senator David Perdue by phone, email, or written mail. Second, volunteer. Groups like Wounded Warrior Project or Habitat for Humanity or even the Veterans Affairs Hospital are always in need for volunteers and sponsors, whether it be companies or individual. We can also donate financially to many wounded veteran support groups. Our wounded veterans have given their all for us. They have sacrificed in ways we cannot even begin to imagine. It is time we repay them. They need our support and for us to be their advocates. We can be the change that is needed. We absolutely can change the futures of our wounded veterans. Thank you.